Ladies and gentlemen, if you clicked on this video, then you are either a chess fan or this is the first chess video you have ever clicked on because of the YouTube algorithm, so welcome to the world of chess. Regardless of which of those two cases you fall under, you associate certain names with chess. Whether you're a new fan or an older fan, some of those names, obviously, Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, maybe GothamChess, maybe Fabiano Caruana, maybe it's a local hero from the country that you're from, like Vishwanathan Anand, for example, or Praggnanandhaa. But there is a new character who has actually returned to the game. And his name is Wei Yi. Wei Yi is a Chinese grandmaster. And his story is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. A massive amount of chess fans got into chess, and particularly chess content, from 2020 to 2024. And in that period, Wei Yi has basically been absent from the game, aside from some tournaments here and there that he has played in China. People have hypothesized that it's because he went back to university. Maybe he's pursuing a full-time career in some sort of walk of life. But Wei Yi just won the first major chess event of the year, which is called Tata Steel. And in this video, I'm going to give you a spotlight into his career and how we got here. And hopefully, Wei Yi is back. And he's back to stay because he is a gem of a chess player. So here's a couple of fascinating statistics about Wei Yi. Wei Yi is the youngest ever chess player to get to 2700 ELO. Younger than Magnus Carlsen and younger than Ali Reza Firouzja, who is the youngest ever player to get to 2800. So Wei Yi had him beat at 2700. Now, this is according to the FIDE website. This actually happened in 2015, early 2015, when he did it at the age of 15 years old. He's born in 1999. He's a 24-year-old player who feels like a veteran of the game for nearly a decade. He has been rated 2700. And then he sort of stagnated. He went down to 2690. He's been as high as 2750. But most of his career, he's been around 2720, 2730. And then obviously the pandemic happened. But now he's back. And he just won a tournament. And he's 2750 and top 10 in the world for the first time in his life. This is absolutely incredible. And in this video, I'm going to show you what they call the modern immortal chess game. Wei Yi played this game when in 2015, the monster year that he had. But it was later in the year. This was the year that he broke 2700. He was the youngest ever 2700. And he played this game when he was 16 years old. This was a super tournament held in China, and they were inviting a bunch of strong players from all over the world. And his opponent was Lazaro Bruzon, who at the time represented Cuba. So for reasons of accuracy, I'm putting the Cuba Federation there. Now Lazaro actually represents the United States. So he's moved to the United States. I think he lives in the United States. This is the modern immortal game. Wei Yi is a dynamic, fiery personality who we have not seen in many years compete at the top level. So here's a throwback to his game in 2015, and hopefully he's back for good. He plays e4. c5 is played by Lazaro, which is basically the first thing that you need to get a fun game. With e4, you need a Sicilian. I mean, you can get a bunch of other stuff, you know, but this obviously gives black fighting chances on equal grounds. Wei Yi plays knight to f3. Black plays pawn to e6, and after knight c3, which is just a little bit of a, I don't know, like generally you play d4, and then you trade, and then you play knight c3. Maybe knight c3 is to try to get his opponent to commit to something. Like maybe Wei Yi doesn't have enough information on what his opponent is going to play. I don't know. I mean, generally speaking, you know, you could just go here, and you will get the very same position, but he plays knight c3. Black plays a6, and white plays bishop e2. So Wei Yi is just postponing this move. I guess he's trying to get his opponent to put a knight on c6, which he does. And I guess the idea was that if he had rushed, then Lazaro might have played like this and never put the knight on c6, which is just a slightly different way to play this opening. So Wei Yi does it like this. He does it in a very subtle way. He indefinitely postpones the move d4 until his opponent commits the knight to c6, and now he's forcing his opponent to play a Taimanov defense. It's a lot of intricacies, right? Like the major difference is that black has not yet committed this move, which is meaningless to 99% of you because you're beginner, intermediate, or even advanced players who can't understand the difference. Frankly speaking, I also can't quite understand the difference. I'm sort of inventing it as I go. But I think that's the reason, right? I think in what I showed you, black does not have to go knight c6. He plays knight c6. And now we are in a position which is known as the Taimanov defense, which is when you take on d4 in the Sicilian and you commit your pawns like this. Black puts the queen on c7 to snipe on the dark squares. Wei Yi plays bishop e3. We are following what's called the main line. Main line meaning these are the most popular moves that occur at this level at all, like they're the most commonly played moves. Now there's a fork in the road, no pun intended. Bishop b4 or bishop to e7. Bishop b4 is more aggressive, targeting the knight, trying to destabilize the white center. And it is the most common move. However, the second most common move is to play a little bit more passively with just putting the bishop on e7. Because generally, if the bishop is going to go to b4, it's going to perish. And maybe black just wants to keep the bishop on the board. He's going to feel a little bit more comfortable having somebody controlling and fighting for the dark squares, considering you've put so many pawns on light squares. Wei Yi plays f4. Idea of f4 is very simple. He wants to play e5. He wants to play f5. Also, with this move, you activate your rook, right? Your rook wasn't active a move ago, so you get your rook potentially into the game, and you are creating a same-side attacking possibility. Black plays d6. Plays d6 to prevent e5. If he had castled, white would have went e5, shoved the knight backwards, and then would have had free clearance in the center to go on an attack. So black plays d6, and now there are many moves, okay? Wei Yi plays, still playing, by the way, thousands of games in the database. King to h1, the most common move in the position. King h1 is useful for two reasons. Number one, you get your king off of this diagonal. Again, at 99% of levels of chess, you won't even reach this position because it's going to take a lot of different twists and turns. But king h1 is basically useless for like a 1700. They don't quite understand it. But you get your king off of this diagonal in the future, and also you can use your g-pawn to attack. You're not going to use your g-pawn to attack if the king is on g1, but when the king is tucked away in the corner and the rook can be behind the pawn, you will. So just a generally useful move. And now queen to e1. Another side effect of playing the move f4. So I said f4 is useful to attack with the pawns, to get the rook here, but also it opens up this diagonal, which is a very nice transfer point for the queen. So you kind of see how at the top level, every move flows together. The subtle differences of opening up diagonals, right? Like hidden openings and hidden spaces and things like that. Very, very subtle, very interesting stuff. Now, the second that white destabilizes his knight, black captures. Black captures because the side that is about to be under attack, or the side that is slightly behind in space, which black is both, wants to trade pieces. The more pieces that you trade, the less powerful white's attack is. Plus, this knight move opens up the queen, and now black plays b5. All of this has been played before, which is why it is very much in the balance. Now, Wei Yi plays queen to g3. There are many ideas here already. You can play a3, stopping b4. You can attack the center with e5. Or you can play queen g3, justifying your little queen maneuver. And queen g7, if you had x-ray vision, would be checkmate. But right now, the knight is blocking the way. Okay? Queen g3. b4 here is possible, but the counter shot of e5 is strong and allows the knight to get here. Of course, this is totally lost for black because of mate. So for that reason, black plays bishop b7, and white stops the move b4 with a3. Okay, both sides have now made 14 moves. The position is still equal. When is Wei Yi gonna go to work? When's this banger chess content gonna happen? Right around now. Wei Yi has made the necessary preparations to have an attack. The sides are about to clash. Black is gonna smash the center with d5 or e5. And white is going to try to attack the king. Right? Both guys are making necessary preparations. Wei Yi brings his rook. So his rook goes from the corner. It's his first move of the game. It's going to support the center pawns. Maybe it's going to transfer over here. And by the way, even this position has been reached something like 10 or 15 times in the database up until that point. Black plays rook d7. This is a very, very mysterious move. But black wants to play queen d8, fighting for this diagonal if the knight moves, and also supporting the advance in the center. So this is, again, very mysterious move, very tough to explain at most levels of chess. I'm doing my best. Here come the preparations of the attack. And at this point, something's going to give, right? Something is going to give here. Well, seeing that white is about to start attacking, Lazaro plays the move g6. Okay, g6 blocks the diagonal of the bishop. It slightly weakens the dark squares, But it's not like black is going to get mated, okay? It's not like it's going to happen. I mean, black's not going to go like knight g4 and hang mate, okay? Hang mate on g7. That's not what's going to happen. But now Wei Yi plays f5. And my friends, if you had the attention span to watch 10 minutes of this video, you will be rewarded. You are about to be rewarded. Can you imagine if some bozo clicked on this video and 6 minutes in was like, I'm bored, and now is like watching some, you know, skibbity toilet somewhere? For anybody above the age of 12, skibbity toilet, you really just don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But, you know, as a YouTuber, I have to know all the memes, and where our society has gone is really quite tragic. Anyway, now you are about to get handsomely rewarded. So the move g6, while it does fight against the light squared bishop, is a hook. A hook is a pawn in front of a king that can be used as a target for the attacking side to potentially trade and open up. You will notice that if a move ago, let's say, in this position, white had gone f5, black would simply go here. And then, you know, if white retreats, black will just open up the center with d5. Right, that's kind of the idea. But now white plays f5. And now pandemonium. Complete pandemonium. So, Lazaro Bruzon plays e5, which is what I just said, right? Plays e5. And the bishop slides out of the way, but here's the problem. Now if you're playing black, you can't go d5. Can't go d5 because I'm about to open up your king. I have a pawn there and I'm going to open up your king. So he plays rook e8, a preparatory move, waiting for white to kind of get in here with some pieces. Wei Yi captures the pawn on g6 as per his plan, and now h takes g6. You can't go here because then the queen gets in. That's very dangerous. So h takes g6, but now what? What's the idea now? Well, now, my friends, now Wei Yi, 16-year-old Wei Yi, teenager Wei Yi, plays knight d5. That move does not even look possible. Because after knight d5, e d5, bishop d5, white just loses a pawn. I don't understand. What was the point? Where's the attack? Okay, you got ideas, but anything tangible? Queen h6 to try to sack. Black can play like bishop f8, just kick you out. So what's the idea of knight d5? Knight takes d5 played. Well, as it turns out, the idea of knight takes d5 is not to take the knight at all. The idea of knight takes d5 is to lose your knight and then sacrifice the rook. The move rook to e8, designed to bring the bishop back to defend the king and potentially fight in the center, destabilize that pawn, and like a sniper, Wei Yi gets in and sacrifices the rook. This is brilliant positional understanding. While the black pieces are standing around like this, like in a Tetris cube, they're not equipped to defend the position. Queen h7 is now mate. You have to accept the offering. You could play knight f6, but then white wins by getting in like this, threatening a discover check. If the king slides to the corner, bishop g5 is simply overwhelming, combined with rook e3, rook h3. But also if queen e6, if let's say bishop f8, rook e7 shielding the attack. Here, and then it's mate. Oh my god. So he sacks the rook, black has to take, and for a brief moment, Lazaro is up 7 points of material. But his rook and queen are completely useless. The bishop is useless on the light squares. So now queen h7 check. Black's king is forced forward. This is actually pretty easy to calculate. How? Because if there, mate. If here, rook f1, e d5 is mate. Like you take the knight, and then the king is just mated. The king cannot move. So rook f1 is mate. So you know that after queen h7, the king has to go here. And the idea is very straightforward. The idea is that if you take the knight saves you, but now you take the knight. You don't take the knight back here. First, you get a full rook sacrifice, and then you bait the king forward. And you know the next move. Or do you? Because if bishop d5 or king d5, what are you going to do? Well, in the game, he took with the king. He took with the king because he was trying to escape. He's trying to escape. He could have taken with the bishop. Then Wei Yi probably would have played something like bishop g6 threatening mate and mate. Bishop g2, king g2, d5, bishop f7, king d6, queen h6, king c7. There is a bishop check. So you would go bishop f6, bishop e8, and white is winning. Wei Yi calculated all of that. When Wei Yi played the move knight to d5, he calculated 10 moves into the future and saw this position. So at this point, black is at a crossroads. He takes with the king. He's trying to run back here. What is the only way in this position to prevent the move king to c6? The only way, and Wei Yi saw this from a distance, otherwise white is lost. The only way is to sacrifice another piece and attract the black king like a magnet. Bishop to e4 check. You are losing a full bishop. However, when black captures, now you have the element of time on your side. And the king cannot escape back because you play queen to f7. Now in this position, Stockfish gives a gangster mate in 9. If Wei Yi had seen mate in 9 in this position, this might be the greatest game ever played. In this position, the best move is not to take the pawn with check, which many people would do because then the king escapes. Then the king escapes. You can't sack your queen too. No. The best move in this position is c4. What? Yes, to prevent the king from escaping. And the point is you threaten check. If black takes, now you take. What's the difference? Here, only move, this is mate. The difference is if you had taken on g6 right away, then after here, this is not a mate. So by playing the move c4, you actually baited your opponent into taking, but you also threatened this. If black plays rook g6, then you play check, discovered attack, the king comes forward and is mated from the side. King here, mate. Oh my god. If Wei Yi had found c4, I mean, I would have just lost my mind. c4, trying to seal the escape and setting up that zigzag checkmate. Oh my god, but Wei Yi plays the second best move. Instead of c4, he plays queen f7. Now, after queen f7, white is now threatening mate. The king is sealed. The king is completely sealed. King is in the center. Queen f7, a gangster move, down 8 points of material. 8 points. The incredible thing about this position is that there are so many mates. So, a bishop move on this diagonal is mate. There. Bishop d4 takes with the king. So any other move is mate. Also, queen f3 is mate. Dovetail checkmate. Oh my. So queen f7 threatens mate. Now black's only move is bishop f6. Bishop f6. And now look at that. Did you see that? Stockfish did not even realize how strong this position was. In this position, Wei Yi plays bishop to d2 check, saying, okay, you can go there or there. Which do you want to do? Because if you play king f5, I play rook f1. Now, wherever you move your king, I bring my queen back and I mate you on one of these two squares. Not e3, but one of those two squares is going to be a checkmate very, very soon. Queen d3 is mate in 1. Queen f3 is probably mate in a couple moves. There's no way to stop queen d3. You have 25 points of material, 10, 19 plus 6, 25, and nobody can stop this. How insane is that? If the king goes to d4, you gotta go here. You can't go here, let the king escape. Bishop f6, bishop d2, king to d4. And now he repeats moves once, and he goes here. And the black king has to run around because this is mate. So he has to go to f5. Wei Yi plays rook f1 check. The only move now is to play king to g4. Now, how are you gonna get the queen over here to mate? Or h3? What are you gonna do? None of that works. If you slow play in this position, the king gets out to h5 and then seals the door. And if you play rook f5, sacking everything, black defends himself. So how do you possibly win the game in this position? Only one move. Queen to d... What? Yes, the idea is this and that diagonal. So the king cannot easily run to h5 because you get him from this diagonal. Again, king g4 is trying to run out that way. So queen d3, and now it's over. The only chance that black has to survive this position is to sacrifice his bishop. That's it. You have to take. You have to take, and generally when it's a moment like this, like a moment in time when time is frozen, you got to be careful. Can they attack your king at all? They can with queen a8. A lot of people would panic because it seems like you're activating the black queen, which is the last thing we wanted to do. But the alternative was actually going here, and now your queen can't mate anybody because of bishop to g5. So the bishop gets in and blocks all the light squares. So king g2, queen a8, and now the only winning move, king to g1, right back to where he was. Well, he was on h1, but sliding back. How do you stop this and this? You don't. Bishop goes to g5, and now the only winning move is queen e2. Why is that the only winning move? It's not queen d1, it's only queen e2. The king has to go here. Now, where's the winning move? Where's the mate? In fact, if you're not careful, you will get mated. The only winning move in this position is bishop to e1. And in this position, Lazaro Bruzon resigned. He resigned because white is threatening rook to f3 check, and there is no way to stop it. If you play e4, you stop rook f3, but you block your queen, so this is mate. If you play rook f8, you stop rook f3, but when I take, if you take, you block your queen's vision, and this is mate. And alternatively, you can give me a million checks, but I go king h1, and you're still getting mated. Bishop e1, and he resigned. Because rook f3 and queen g2 are two unstoppable threats. Wei Yi played a top string of moves from knight to d5. He uncorked essentially a 15-move combination in this position. Knight d5, rook f7, queen h7, e d5, king d5, bishop e4, queen f7 sealing the escape. Bishop f6 tried to fight back. He repeated moves once, so it's more like a 14-move combination. Queen b3, and then he walked the king to the edge of the board, and in this position, he forced a resignation in 36 moves. This man is back in the chess world. This man was a world ender for like 9 years. Then he might have lost motivation, right? Maybe that's what happened. Maybe he didn't see that there was a career in chess and he went back to university. Maybe he's a super smart guy and he has a better career potentially somewhere else. But he's back and he just scored his biggest tournament win of his life. He's 24 years old, but he already feels like a veteran of the sport, and he's number 9 in the world. For reference, Ding Liren is number 4. So we got 2 Chinese grandmasters in the world top 10. Wei Yi's been gone a while, but it's good to see him back. I'm excited to see what he does next. Now get out of here.